And today on episode 4.
Is it episode 4?
It is episode 4.
It's episode 4 and it is February 2024.
You guys have done an episode about me?
We have. Unfortunately, Lana, you hadn't entered our lives yet when we first started.
Let's start live.
Yes.
Yeah, wow, that was just a great beginning.
What
But
a blessing.
It's been strange though because we've lost Lucy.
But we've gained Lana.
Yes.
An L for an L.
I still miss Lucy, you know. Gone but never forgotten.
You still miss her, like she's been gone for like a week.
Still. I still miss her. She's been gone forever.
She's been out skydiving.
I saw that. Yeah.
She's been skydiving.
She's living her best life without me, and I just don't think that's okay.
You know who's not living his best life?
Oh, who?
Rishi Sunak fumbled the bag yet again.
Yet again.
Yes, again.
Who is surprised ever?
At this point, I don't think anyone.
So Brianna was killed early 23, 11th February. The two teens who stabbed her, both 15 I think, convicted 20th of December and sentenced 2nd of February 2024.
Very recently.
Yeah. And I think it was the 10th of February, how do I not have that on this big sheet? That Sunak made some comments in Parliament. So he was having a bit of a go at Starmer, saying he's made big U-turns on all his major policies. And he included, it was can't define a woman in that. And then he ended up clarifying that by saying it was only 99% of a U-turn, which is referencing some the controversial comments Starmer made about whether women could have penises. Because we live in the modern world, which is very normal and serious. And so this is, politics. And people are upset. Brianna's father called for an apology and didn't get one at all. Sunak doubled down. He said, quote, "If you look at what I said, I was very clear, talking about Keir Starmer's proven track record of U-turns on major policies because he doesn't have a plan." In that situation, Esther Jai didn't request an apology, instead saying on her Facebook page for her charity, Peace in Mind UK, that she didn't wish to comment on reports of wording or comments recently made.
Oh, okay, that's
Which is interesting because she was in the gallery when the comment was made, and that was part of Starmer's response.
Yeah.
I think he said on all the weeks that you could have made a comment like that, Brianna Jai's mother is in the gallery, shame on you. Which is, he didn't even refute the comment. He wasn't even no, trans women, I haven't changed my position. He was just yeah, you shouldn't say it this week though.
Yeah, he really knows how to pick his moments, eh?
Yeah.
Face on Keir Starmer, the video, the way that he postured himself to be I get to be appalled right now.
Yeah,
I have the chance to look appalled and to make everyone else feel appalled.
Yeah.
And it's well, you have not done any work to really cement the idea that people shouldn't be making transphobic comments anywhere, let alone the Houses of Parliament. So for him to sort of, I'm such a good person right now because you said a bad thing and I'm going to say that you said a bad thing.
Yeah.
Then act like a good person that you would, what?
Yeah, around mid-2023, Starmer and most of Labour did a big turn on trans politics. They used to be pro self-ID and then they just kind of stopped. Let me think, looks at notes. So, all from memory. In March of 2023, Starmer had an interview with the Sunday Times where he made some comments that people don't like about trans women, where he said, quote, "For 99% of women, it is completely biological, and of course they haven't got a penis." Now, this was just kind of unwarranted after he was asked, he was asked whether he thinks a woman could have a penis. But when you're asked something like that, you don't engage with it and start talking about whether women can have penises. You just kind of shut it down, or you say yes, So people are annoyed with him at that, and that was what was being referenced when following up his initial comment, straight after the fact, Sunak said only 99% of a U-turn, referencing Starmer's position on trans people.
I think in that moment the only comment he should have made if he's not knowledgeable about these matters, which clearly he's not, is I'm not knowledgeable enough about these matters in order to make a comment.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to pull up stats, but I can still say yes.
Yeah. I should have noted it.
If he's not, for whatever reason, like, he's not going to say yes, just don't say anything at all. It goes back to that thing of, if you have nothing nice to say, just don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
I think that works in politics so much.
I think what you said about, data, I should have found it before this. There's this one clip of Starmer on a radio show, and he was talking about how we need to protect women, like biological women, by not letting trans women into like same-sex spaces. And he was asked by the interviewer, like, do you have any statistics that would even suggest that trans women are more dangerous than cis women, or that it would cause issues to let trans women into women's spaces? And he bit the bullet. He admitted no. He didn't have data. He just doesn't. He just
I gotta
feels.
say, out of all the people I as a cis woman could be scared of, trans women are not it.
Yeah.
At least from my personal experience, I actually feel safer around them, because I know the amount of times I've gone for a night out in Cardiff and I've ended up in situations where I haven't entirely felt safe. And for me, the safe places were like the LGBTQI plus clubs and everything, because I know the moment I step my foot inside there and I'm not feeling safe, there is an army of people like ready to protect me. Like,
the LGBTQIA community does community.
They don't mess around. Like, I feel so safe in there, like every single time. I've never felt unsafe in an environment like that, like being with my friends and being myself. And not to say that obviously non-transgender people are not safe, but in a night out, if I'm looking for a safe space, you bet I will go there first.
Yeah. Like, trans women tend to be victimized, like, I think it's more than cis women even. Like when it comes to being assaulted by men. And so we know what it's like. And then, we're going to protect you with our, 6'6" physiques and rippling muscles.
I just love that, because, like, they have the capability to literally protect you with nothing but their voice, because they've gotten to a point in their lives where they've honed their voice to be their weapon, and they are so good at using it. Like,
I mean, I don't want to generalize too far. I'm sure that there's quite wimpy trans women. But, I think while I do think Sunak should apologise, I think it does to sort of detract from the fact that there is a lot of transphobia in politics in general at the moment.
Yeah.
It is not just Sunak. Starmer is definitely part of the problem.
Exactly, yeah. Like, when I can vote, I'll be voting, like, Labour. But not because I think Labour's good. They're just slightly less bad, It's kind of like, we don't have a proper left party anymore. We just have a Conservative party and then a slightly more moderate Conservative party.
And soft Tory.
I think it really does say something about the politics where you've got young people who are, getting up to the age of, like, voting, and their belief is there is no good party to vote for. There is simply, like, evil and less evil of sorts. Like,
it's damage control,
Yeah, it's like, which of the lesser evil can you choose?
I think for most of anyone's life, really, politics has been fraught with, like, pitfalls. It is really important to read up on parties, policies, and also, on, like, how the voting system works. So we were taught how the voting system works in Germany and, the history of major parties and stuff like that. I don't feel like that happens here as much, and I don't really know if it happens generally in Germany.
I wasn't taught anything about voting when I was in school, and I know when it came to, like, me being allowed to vote only in certain ones, because I'm Polish, so I'm not allowed to vote in the general elections or anything like that. I don't really get a say, even though I've lived here my majority of my life. But where I could vote, because I didn't have the knowledge, it had to be my responsibility to try and learn as much about it as I could, because with my very first voting, I felt under a lot of pressure to follow what my friends were doing. But, not having that knowledge and understanding, it was like what my friends were voting for, what my family was voting for, and I wanted to make sure that who I was voting, even if it's just one vote, was my own decision and not the pressure of others. Like, going, you should vote for them. I wanted to make my own informative decision, but it wasn't easy, because the school doesn't teach you. But I do know how to do algebra.
Well done.
And as far as I can tell, in the UK, you can get pretty good education on the history of political parties, but only if you choose politics. I think politics at GCSE has some stuff on it. I know politics at A-level goes decently far into it, but that's A-level. By that point, you know, not many people end up doing a politics A-level of the general population. Not as many as you'd want to be educated.
I did a politics A-level.
Woo! Congratulations.
So are the five of us. Is there only two that can vote?
I can vote.
You can vote. Can Holly vote?
Not yet. It's from 16 onwards.
Yeah.
You should.
Not in the general election, but in the Welsh elections you can vote.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you
from
can,
16.
Can you not vote in the Welsh election?
I'm 16, so I think I can vote in Welsh elections.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in general, it's 2 out of 5 and then 3 out of 5 for Welsh.
I can vote in local elections. So like
Same.
when they're, so we can vote in local, but anything above that is also above our pay grade apparently.
Holly's over the moon.
Sorry.
But I might misphrase. Are you at least 18? Oh, okay, sorry.
How old are you, Holly? I'm 15.
Well, you're
15.
Shot.
Surprise, surprise.
That's okay. No, but I think you're pleased, right? Okay, yeah.
People assume I'm a lot younger than what I am.
I see.
Me too.
So thank you.
But, going to the topic at hand, I also remember there being something about Brianna's mother now calling for there to be a ban on social media.
Child phones and adult phones too.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
I don't know.
She wants under 16s to have phones, but phones that are limited in the social media that they can use and can also be monitored by the parents of the person who sets up the phones.
So let me clarify. What she wants is for young people to still be allowed to have phones, but with parental control.
But like intensive parental control.
Oh.
And I'm assuming she'd want it in all cases then, because if she just wants it to be if both the kid and the parent want it, then she could just, I don't know, recommend an app that can do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if she's recommending it like this, then does she want it
It's
in all
Right,
cases?
compulsory as
Yes,
well.
right. So that's I think what I was getting confused about, because naturally these days you can set up parental control on your child's phone, and you can pick and choose what you want to control. So it can be very light control or it can be quite heavy control. But in this case, from my understanding, she wants it to be compulsory, heavy, no choice in the matter sort of thing.
And what's the basis for this request?
She came out today actually and said that it's because Brianna was addicted to social media. And I feel like of all the things to pick out, I obviously don't know her, and she's gone through something terrible in losing a child. Out of all the things to pick out, why is it the phones? And I wonder who's been speaking in her ear about it as well, because I feel like it's a very easy thing for politicians to jump on and go, oh yeah, this is a good idea, knowing that it will never happen, because the amount of stuff that you'd have to do to get that made compulsory, like you'd have to lobby Apple and Samsung and Google, and then who cares? They're just gonna go, it's already there, deal with it. So I feel like there's been some kind of instance of she's been spoken to by someone.
It also
Oh no, go on.
It also feeds into a pattern behaviour that she's displayed, where she I don't want to make an accusation she's using it to further her career, but she does keep on I guess centering herself in conversations, and then using the fact that she is Brianna's mother is her justification. For example, in the rest of the Facebook post I quoted earlier about her not wanting to make comments, she goes on to then promote her company and say that it's about making a lasting legacy for Brianna. And links it back to it, even though teaching mindfulness doesn't really have much to do with the murder.
Wasn't there something about the murderers wanting to kill someone else originally?
Yes, that's why anti-transgender hatred was not, hate against transgender people was not the primary motivation that the court identified. They identified sadistic tendencies as the main thing, and then for only one of the perpetrators, Ratcliffe, did they add hate against transgender people as a secondary motive.
Okay.
And then some people say that this is reason to say that believe that this doesn't really have anything to do with transgender politics. I would disagree, because I think that even if this individual case doesn't have a direct connection to it, it still feeds into a pattern of trans women like being attacked. There's some statistic where like hate crimes against trans people have tripled in the last decade, because while there's a lot more active acceptance of trans people, since it's an issue, there's also a lot more active hatred rather than just kind of passive cultural suppression. So I think that even if you can't link it back to a killer being transphobic, this still feeds into that pattern.
Yeah, but I do find it, quite interesting that obviously she's calling for this kind of social media ban and having these phones that are like children phones, adult phones, and she talks about it on a Facebook post, of all things, on a social media platform, and promoting her business whilst at him under a very interesting pretense. And I can understand where she is coming from, because I as well as many others have obviously experienced like bullying on social media, and social media can be a very rough place. I mean, it is open access to kind of say what you want and think that you're not going to hold any responsibility for your actions, in a sense. So I can understand why there will be a lot of people who would back this idea as a good thing. But I think with the right approach, social media and social media platforms can be such a good place as well, such a positive place in regards to allowing young people to be themselves and to, use their voice to send out messages. And, I don't think social media itself is bad. It's how you use it. Because, we use social media. Everything we are doing here right now, we're recording this episode, we're posting it on these platforms because we want to spread these positive messages and we want to do some good. But we could just as easily use that in a very negative way should we want to. So I do understand where she's coming from, but I don't think it's social media that is a problem. I think it's how certain people use it.
Holly, go
on. A lot of the messages when they sent through social media.
Yeah.
So that's probably
I think,
why.
But if you ban social media, they could have just gotten her phone number. Like, asking for someone's phone number is seen as a more, I guess, intense way of reaching out communication to them. So you might intuitively think, oh, if they didn't have social media, well, they wouldn't have gotten her phone number. But no, if you ban social media, then asking for someone's phone number is just going to become a more widespread and casual thing. And then they would have just contacted her that way by being like, instead of, hey, let me add you on Snapchat, it would just be like, oh, can I get your number?
I think it sort of moves the problem, isn't it? I think social media in itself isn't bad. I think it's not down to the young people being controlled that is the problem. I think it's the idea that we should really have better safeguards within social media against this kind of stuff. The responsibility should be within the social media providers to safeguard young people rather than on individuals and on like barring things.
It's on the people of power in order to use that power into making sure that their platforms are as safe as possible. And I know that each platform has its own policies in regards to health and safety and all of that, but the amount of times that I've seen things that are vastly inappropriate on, say, Facebook, and I would report it only to then get a comment back a few days later going, we didn't find it violating our terms and conditions and like regulations. And I'm thinking, was this checked by a robot or a human being? Because anyone with two eyes can see that this is inappropriate.
That's why like the loss of children's safe spaces on the internet is so brutal.
Yes.
Like, did you play Club Penguin?
No, I didn't.
Did you play Club Penguin?
No, but I know what it is.
Everyone was on that. That was my first introduction to the internet. When we were doing our development year with we found that a lot of young people wanted an app where they could meet other young people who do similar things. And it's like, well, that's what Club Penguin was.
It's like Roblox, but like the...
Yeah, exactly. Where like you have those interactions and they're heavily moderated. You couldn't say anything on those websites without it being like put through a filter.
Yeah, it's how these days, for example, you got an app that like doesn't allow any swearing, but you'd kind of change the lettering or like cut some letterings off, and suddenly that would pass through. Not with this. It's like any kind of variation of the word that you wanted to use that was inappropriate was blocked. Like you could press enter and it just would not go. And it's not just with Club Penguin, but it was like that with Bin Weevils. It was like that with Moshi Monsters. And I spent so much time on that because obviously I felt very isolated in my real life. But this gave me a place to be social in a safe way. And it also taught me a lot of things, as silly as it sounds. Like it taught me maths. It taught me English.
The reason I can type so fast now is because of Bin Weevils. Like, I am 120 words per minute because I was nattering.
I was in chat rooms.
Yeah. No, but I genuinely think if the government thought about funding a platform like this, it could be a monitored safe space for young people to have what we had that we grew up on, where we actually felt safe and we were still able to build connections without the worries of modern day social media.
The question I have though is, because this there's just someone monitoring it. Who is that? Because is it parents? Is it...
It was the system. There were moderators like actually employed by the companies that would moderate. So if you reported someone, they would have all of the chat logs.
Okay.
So if you reported someone for, say, bullying, they could go, okay, look at this person's chat logs and go, yeah, they've been bullying, let's kick them out of here.
Okay.
And then, you know, sometimes they'd be online, and then filters through things so you couldn't put numbers down. Like, especially in Bin Weevils, you could not use numbers.
You couldn't share like personal details and things like that. Which stopped you from being able to show your age, which is like a weird thing going on now. Where like, I see a lot of, like, if I'm on Twitter, I'll see someone tweeting and they'll have their age in their bio, and I'm like, that's not good.
A lot of social media accounts, I know a lot of kids in my year and who were born from 2008, 2009, will have like their name and then 2008.
The fundamental things that I was like, don't share your age online, don't share your real name online, and obviously that's changed.
I think sometimes it can be a bit of a, I guess people think it makes it feel more authentic. Like you're not, if you're talking to someone, it's like, oh, you're not going to be worried that you're talking to a kid because they told you they're like 22.
Yeah, but I can easily go on my, if I was malicious type of person, I could easily go on my profile and just type in that I'm 16 or 15 or 14 instead of 24, and unless they ask me for my ID, would they know any better?
So there's where like, I'm a bit tentative about that, but once again, like with the MMOs, you had all types of things. It was problem solving, and it was fun. It was a laugh. I
spent hours.
I tanked Bin Weevils' economy because I hoarded all my money.
Sorry, I just surprised myself because I'm like, yeah, but like, how is this gonna replace social media? Like me and my entrepreneur hat, like I'm gonna make this app. No, I'm not gonna. But I guess
social media was still there.
Yeah.
But now there's like a lack. There's a fundamental thing missing that young people have pointed out to us, like when we've been talking to them, where
it's a gap in the market.
If that was introduced, and you could go, oh yeah.
Well, because that's the thing. Back when like Bin Weevils and Club Penguins was a thing, so was Facebook. But I was more inclined to go on Club Penguin and Bin Weevils than creating a Facebook account. But yeah, now obviously because those places are gone, they've shut down. Young people are turning into social media platforms like Facebook, like Instagram, and spending so much time on there because it's become a replacement. And then we've got, these conversations about the effect it has on young people, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. But not only does it have an impact on young people, we clearly see it also at the moment has an impact on adults. It's become such a huge thing. I mean, the whole thing with Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Is that the thing with the plane being tracked? Or?
Yeah, with the plane being tracked, and even with the stuff like the AI pictures and...
Someone did it to Elon Musk as well.
Wow.
Same guy. The same guy tracked...
The same guy's tracking Elon Musk?
The same guy. He's a massive nerd for planes, loves tracking flight data, and did that. And
so he doesn't care about them, he cares about the plane?
I guess he's just a nerd.
I feel like he uses the skills that he has on tracking planes in order to track them.
So he tracked Elon's plane, Elon threatened to sue him, and now he's been tracking Taylor's plane, and Taylor's threatening to sue him.
Taylor is seeking legal action, and, a lot of people are now talking a lot about it, especially when it comes to Taylor Swift, because obviously this happened. She's had AI images created of her that are vastly inappropriate, and they were posted online, and people rallied in order to have it all taken down. But now
the power of Swifties.
Yeah,
Holly likes Taylor Swift. What's your big opinion on all of it?
Well, it is a little bit of invasion of privacy. It's also, there's articles on it. There's articles with her plane number, and there's also a literal website which you can go to, and it doesn't take a genius to like figure out where she's doing a show, and then track the plane.
He shares the carbon emissions of each flight journey. So like, he shares like just how much like carbon dioxide she's just released into the atmosphere by going 13 minutes from Vegas to Vegas.
So
that's where a lot of people are defending this guy, because it's like, well,
there is just
Coldplay takes trains everywhere for their gigs.
Yeah, because that's where I'm like, what do Taylor Swift and Elon Musk have in common? Like, why would anyone track both of this? But they're overusage.
Yeah.
So this is possibly not a fan or some kind of...
It's more about highlighting carbon emissions, and then the downfall of that is like, okay,
privacy
being a bit of a stalker. But also stop taking a private jet everywhere.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, because like if she wants to kind of keep things on the download of like where she is and everything, maybe a huge private jet is not the answer into blending in with her surroundings. It's your common type of car that can blend in with many other cars on the road.
Get a tour bus.
Amsterdam tour bus.
But I think... You know what, I think in the news lately there has just been so much talk in regards to celebrities. I mean, from the whole Taylor Swift thing to Ozzy Osbourne and Donna Summers and Kanye West again. Because if we're talking lawsuits, Kanye West
is Kanye or Ye?
Kanye?
Yay.
I can never pronounce his name. I'm sorry, Kanye. Well,
but it's
anyways,
just Ye now, right?
I feel like he's on top of the list when it comes to accumulating lawsuits against him, at least up for the time being.
I mean, yay.
Yeah.
It's he's got a whole different problem, because he's just seemingly trying to just sample everybody else's music and use it for his own gains. Unfortunately, he has not been acting the most stand-up citizen as of a few years ago. And so he has not made many friends among musicians as well. I think what you're referring to there is like...
From my understanding of it, Kanye West, I'm slowly getting there, has released, either he is releasing or has already released a new song, and for this song he wanted to use impressions from both a live song version from Ozzy Osbourne, Iron Man, and also from Donna Summers. So he went to both of them individually and asked for permission to do that. They said no. So what did he do? Rather than respect no as a full and valid answer, he used it anyways, which led to both Ozzy Osbourne and Donna Summers individually going on social media saying they don't want to be associated with him and what he represents. He asked for permission. They said no. They may be pursuing legal action against him because of that.
I think it's an album that him and someone.
Just saying, Donna Summers is not pursuing legal action because she did die in 2012.
No,
it's an album that he is collaborating on with someone else.
Yeah,
that Ye is or Kanye is collaborating on with someone else, and they had like a launch, like a listening party or something, where they played one of the songs that sampled Iron Man by Black Sabbath against Ozzy Osbourne's wishes. And then a different song, I believe, is I Feel Love. Yeah, that was meant to sample some of that.
Yeah, well, apparently they've changed like the melody and the lyrics a bit, but when you listen to it, you can still very much associate what they've done with that song. So yeah, you're correct in saying that it's Donna Summer's State, that is considering
Yeah.
pursuing legal actions.
And I don't even know where I stand in this entirely, because on one hand, Kanye West has acted in some truly horrifying ways over the last few years, and presumably before then too. And it would be great to discredit him in this way. Sampling other people's music against their wishes, also absolutely not acceptable. However, most people in the industry do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you've gone and asked and they said no,
And then doing it anyways. I
Yeah.
think that's a problem, because it's not even him doing that, although that is bad, but it's also just not respecting their decision. Again,
Yeah.
I am of the belief that no is a full, complete answer.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need no because.
Yeah.
No, bad answer. They gave him that answer. He outright just went and disrespected it, didn't consider it, just went and still did what he did.
Yeah, and even if you, like me, have some issues with the way copyright works, especially as it relates to music, like, even if you have some problems with how the system is, it's like, okay, while we have these rules, if someone like Kanye breaks it, sure, throw the book at him, you know?
Yeah.
It seems fairly unambiguous, right?
Also, there's a very big difference if some like new Upstart band uses some samples and if a multi-millionaire uses
Yeah,
it.
true.
He's got the money. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that all smells funny to me anyway. And for sure, I think the Osbournes have got good grounds to dislike him, considering some of the comments he made regarding German history and their, I think, is it Sharon Osbourne's Jewish upbringing.
Yeah.
So I think, there's a lot.
I can definitely
there.
understand why, but Ozzy and Sharon have made the comments that they don't want to be associated with him in any sort of way, and I think they are very valid in doing that and deciding that. Like, I support them, but celebrity world is just so crazy. It's so hard for me to understand, and that's why, you know what, the one celebrity that I do actually adore right now is Honshu the monkey. That is a celebrity that I support.
So it's a man you respect, Honshu the monkey.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Who's Honshu the monkey, sorry?
Okay, so Honshu is a monkey that has escaped into the Scottish Highlands for a period of 5 days, where he lived a very luxurious life.
I did hear about this, actually.
Yeah, he spent the days eating peanuts, chilling, loving life, to then be caught eating a Yorkshire pudding.
Love me.
I believe it's 2 miles away from the wildlife reserve.
Oh, didn't go far.
But yeah, from what we hear, he had a great time. He enjoyed the exploring, but he's
Curious George.
It's just a little getaway. Just a weekend break.
Yeah.
Figured out that he ate a lot of peanuts.
A lot of how? Wow.
Which is like how? Where was he getting them from?
Yeah, like
in the Scottish Highlands.
Where did he source peanuts?
Commonly known for their
Yeah.
peanut growth.
For the peanut
Plantations.
He's importing them and causing carbon emissions.
Taylor Swift has been flying peanuts in for it.
Just dropping them.
They did send out thermal imaging drones while they were looking for him. Like, it was a serious hunt for little Honshu.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like
he's back safely. Where did he escape from? Did you say? The zoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to live in a zoo either.
He was just like, guys, I know you didn't approve my annual leave, but I'm taking my vacation anyway. It's been booked. See ya.
I'm out.
I do love the pattern that he built up when it comes to food of eating a lot of peanuts and then being caught eating a Yorkshire pudding.
I mean, if anything is going to be my downfall, it's also
Yorkshire
Yorkshire pudding.
I don't blame you, but I don't know. It's just amongst everything that's been going on, that reading about that story, in a way, it just warmed on my heart, because I was like, you know what, this is what I need in this dark storm, is this little ball of light that is Honshu and his peanuts and Yorkshire puddings.
He's not the only animal celebrity, though, is he?
Animals are crazy.
Animals are taking over. Right, so who is the other animal celebrity?
There's this well-known Chinese spy called...
Okay, wait. Are we allowed to disclose this information? Is it safe now?
It has now been approved for public dissemination.
Oh, well, let's go then.
So yeah, apparently not for the first time a pigeon was captured in Indian air space. No, they found a pigeon and it had like 2 rings on it with letters in it, or what looked like letters.
Yeah.
And some of it seemed like Chinese symbols. So obviously the first thing you think is, my God, this pigeon must be a Chinese spy.
As you do, yeah.
And then you arrest it, you know.
And then you arrest it, you put like little handcuffs on its wings.
Yeah, the specialty handcuffs that you have, you know, in the station.
Well, wasn't the pigeon imprisoned for 8 months?
I mean, it was detained, I guess, for 8 months, as pigeons can be detained. It was taken to like an animal hospital.
Right.
And obviously the case was investigated, whether this was this was actually
Institutionalised.
it was,
Like
yeah.
sections of the
Oi, oi. There was no assessment part of this.
Oh, it rarely is.
No, they don't need an assessment section.
Right. Did
Evil.
the pigeon have
So-
like a lawyer?
The pigeon did not have a lawyer. However, at some point, Peter, not Peter, but Peter, stepped in. International Animal Rights and Animal Welfare Organization stepped in to say this ain't right. Because, as it transpired, it turns out this pigeon was entirely innocent. Was just like...
No.
yeah, no ill intent whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was, in fact, a professional athlete. It was a racing pigeon.
This is like when at the Olympics athletes will get detained because they're suspected.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah. Same thing.
What
happens
a
all the time.
twist of events.
So yeah, it was like it was a racing pigeon that had been part of a race in Taiwan, which isn't. Let's not pretend I know
You can't touch
geography.
it, yeah.
But Taiwan is definitely not China.
Yeah.
So close.
But yeah, it apparently like went off on its way, off track from its race. And I guess in some ways it was a fugitive because it escaped the racing conditions.
That happens because of the Earth's magnetic field.
Oh.
If the Earth's magnetic field changes, racing pigeons get confused.
Oh.
Because that's how they follow. I
So-
remember when I was in Penarth once, there was a lost racing pigeon from all the way from Taunton.
Taunton?
What?
And I watched this guy just pick it up with his bare hands, and I felt really bad for it, to be honest with you. It was just getting grabbed.
Yeah, no one likes to be grabbed.
I double checked Taiwan. So the thing with Taiwan is that it's not a country, as in it's technically still a part of China, and they're technically still in a civil war.
Yeah.
And but it is in every way functionally a country. Like we have embassies we have an embassy for Taiwan,
Yeah.
except it's not called an embassy, except it functions as a Taiwanese embassy might in every single way.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, how did they caught the pigeon? Because
Oh, it must have just landed somewhere and they were like, "Oh, this is a fancy looking
yeah, I'm
pigeon."
just gonna grab the.
Yeah,
but
you
also
can.
like,
Yeah.
I've seen them
Yeah,
Because
I
they're
know, but,
tame.
like-
Because they're tame.
Yeah.
They're quite
I
used to
mean,
being
yeah,
handled.
true was being a racing pigeon, but I can just imagine like someone like the pigeon just flying around like quite low in the air, and someone just with their hands outreached, jumping up, trying to catch it.
But yeah, so it turns out it was Taiwanese characters. But yeah, it's not the first time this has happened. Apparently in 2020, some other racing pigeon was also detained on a suspicion of being Chinese spies.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Back then it was not Chinese spies either. So yeah.
They would have learned.
Also in India, they're very, very nervous about Chinese spy pigeon.
I know that the 8 months is probably because they just kind of delayed it and never got round to checking on pigeons' innocence.
Yeah.
But like, I
They
like
just
to
don't
think
care.
that they were just working round the clock, and it took them 8 months.
They were trying to
Of
find
max
an
effort.
interpreter.
Yeah.
But,
no one could speak pigeon.
I just, listening to stories like this baffles me because, here in the UK, I feel like pigeons have a lot of power. I mean, they will steal your fish and chips without any
That's
questions
seagulls.
and without. No, pigeons as well.
No, pigeons are polite. They're friendly. I know. I used to work for the RSPB.
We're standing up for pigeons
We stand-
against your
Stand a
slander.
pigeon.
Well, why do you thing I never took a pigeon to court for stealing my chips.
You can catch it, apparently.
Yeah, I don't have the skill. I don't have the
Grab it by its
skill.
tiny little wings.
Come here, little pigeon. Come here.
But that's mad that's about the magnetic fields, actually. That's why they're getting lost. What causes the magnetic field to shift? Is that just normal?
I think it's a small little magnet device given to the pigeon by the Chinese government.
Actually, I'm sure that somebody knows, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe solar flares, something like that. Where sometimes the magnetic field, and it's normal for that to change.
Okay.
But, yeah.
You know what? Maybe that's something that we can look into in our next episode.
The magnetic field of Earth.
Yeah, not saying that we're suddenly changing our podcast into a scientific podcast, but it would be interesting to kind of look into it because now I am curious. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. On that note.